Hey, what's up? It's late. I've got to get up early in the morning, so let's do a quick shave just because I love it. We've got the 1800 from Semogue. It's a Boar brush, 21st use, so it's still very young. It's a soft, comfortable brush, so soft that I had to bring in an O-ring to help to rein the spread in just a little bit so that it wouldn't, those tips would be focused on my face. Razorock. This is the radio knob handle. This is the game changer head. This is not the mild one. It's the 84, the one above a little bit, the mild one. So it looks like this in the cap. I'm gonna put a PolSilver in it. And that PolSilver has been used about 24 times. Haven't tried a PolSilver. Sometimes when the blades get up in the 30s and 40s, then I need to treat them a little differently and not put them in mild razors. But I picked this blade today because this 84 is not a mild. It's comfortable. It rides that line between comfort, but efficient shaving as well. And so I believe he's going to be just fine with this older blade. Kind of see the exposure there. All right, and the number 63 from Provence, a French soap. It's a vegan soap. And we're going to see if we can maybe put it together a little drier than last time and end up with thicker lather. I had a nice performing lather before, but I'm just trying to get it a little creamy. I'm just exploring what that lather offers me. All right, throw a little water on my face. Get those hairs soften up a little bit. Drain the soap. If you know how much water you like, you can pour that drained water into your lather bowl, and that saves a little bit of soap. At this point, I don't really care too much. Haven't really used this too much. You can almost still see the 63 right there. So this hasn't been used too many times. Shake most of the water out, and let's load for 30 seconds. Start at 59 for some reason. I didn't want to wait one more second. So we'll go to 29. This is a soft Boar brush. You can see something really thin and airy come out first. That's fine. Just let it go. Let it go down the drain, as a matter of fact. That's 20 seconds there. Almost to 29. And there we go. Let's just see if that works out. And now I'm going to rinse off this puck. It's a decently slick soap so far. The performance, it's one that I often recommend because it's a good performer with a great scent, in my opinion. But for $11, it almost seems like you're going to be able to get maybe a year's worth of soap, worth of shaves out of it. And that's pretty remarkable. And that makes it, available on Amazon. So it's easy for most people to get if they have a Prime subscription. My Roger Quintero lather bowl here. 3D printable. The designs are available online if you want to print your own, if you want to send it off to a service and have it done, or if you want to print it up yourself. Just go to the description of this video and a link will be there for you. I don't believe I can take this soap in terms of adding water as far as I normally want to. In terms of the appearance, I want it maybe look a little drier than my usual preferences. before I stop. Because when I take it as far as I kind of want, it's a little thinner. Some soaps are just that way. I went ahead and put in 1.5 teaspoons of water. Kind of shortcut the lather a little bit. You don't, with some soaps, you don't have to add it slowly. 1/2 teaspoon increments is sometimes the way I go. So now we've got 2 teaspoons in there. Let's go ahead and add, let's hold back and just see what the lather looks like. Little small Boar brush. Badgers some people like them at 30 millimeters, and this guy's probably 21 or 22. And he's definitely not as dense as many of the Badgers that guys are using these days, but he's got a nice soft feel. The 1800, I've got a little chart right here. The 1800 is the extra grade bristles, which is their kind of strongest bristles, their least soft grade. But then they combine them with one of the top quality bristles that they have, the premium. And so this is similar to the 620, and a lot of people are a big fan of that. Well, it's similar because the 620 has the extra grade. So it's almost like you take the bristles from a 620, and some people really like that. And you add some of the premium grade bristles to it. So they kind of thought they'd make a hybrid brush, if you will. The backbone of the extra grade with the softness of the premium grade. So we'll see if we find that to be true as well. I don't have the 620, but I have the 1438, which has the extra grade bristles. And I do find them quite supportive with good backbone. And good meaning substantial backbone, more firm than about any of the other Semogues that I have. Now this is coming together pretty well in terms of it's no longer bubbly and wet and all that. Why don't I just add a little bit more? Almost can't help myself. Then I'll stop and we'll just see where this takes us. A little over 2 teaspoons, maybe almost 2.5. I can always add a little bit more. At first I was thinking it was so airy on the brush, am I going to end up with enough lather? Yeah, I think we're fine. It's not an excessive amount. All right, and this is definitely drier than I usually like to run my lathers. Look at the textures there. I usually don't have that many hills and valleys and ridges and pointy things that don't move in my lathers. But we're just experimenting here. Let's just see what's going to happen if I run it a little dry. Because I can always add a little bit of water on my face to kind of tweak it. There we go with the adding water right before the first pass. All right, press down a little bit to get some soap into the center of the knot all over the place, and let's see what happens. I do very much like the spicy woody scent that I get from this soap. And so even if I'm not able to find a lather that is just spectacular with this guy. Oh, look, see what's happening? It's dissipating. It's dying. You know why? I'll tell you why. I didn't load enough soap. This is a soft brush. Just needed some extra load. So we'll do that. Then go back to the face. Again, it's splaying very easily. If you want a lot of backbone, this is not going to be the brush for you. Yeah, see, look, it's coming back now, no problem. Just needed, it was just a little too little soap on that. In that mix. And so what you can do, see, because of the kind of clumpiness and lines and feel, and sometimes when you do that, you can look at the texture there. And if it looks like moon craters and things like that, you may want to go ahead and add a little water to your lather. I like to tilt my face over because I don't want the water to come out the bottom of the handle, makes a mess, and then it doesn't become part of your lather. So by keeping the tips aimed down, the water comes into the lather to the tips, and as you can see, the change in this side of my face. This side still doesn't quite have it integrated yet. So we can add a few drops over here. See, I added soap to the mix, but I added a little bit too much because, you know, just a little bit of spinning on that soap puck is quite a bit. And so I had to add just a little bit of water to compensate. Oh yeah, that's better. Feels good. Okay, let me get rid of kind of the excess lather and put it back in the bowl that's around the non-shaving areas. And the Game Changer's a nice razor by Razorock, good quality workmanship. And for me, and this is working very well with this PolSilver. Kind of a with the grain pass first. The 68 came out first, and I bought one, and I just laughed when I used it because it was called the Game Changer, which is kind of a heavy name. You expect it to be a razor that does something revolutionary and to some degree, and it just barely shaved me because it was so mild. It was too mild for me, by quite a long shot. And so, I mean, and very few razors are too mild for me. And so I thought, wow, this is just no Game Changer at all. This is a huge dud. All right, we'll water on our face. We can go in and get some more lather. And if it turns out that I need to get more lather from the puck again, I can just do that. I'll know next time that maybe with this brush, 30 seconds I'm going to increase it some. Okay, then we'll switch to the painting here. Sometimes the face, with the face, and you're doing this scrubbing like this to where you have it in splay, sometimes that will leave your skin without very much lather on it. But don't sweat that. Just switch to this painting, doing this last part of your touching everything up, and then it will take that lather that's on the outside of the brush and put that on your face and make up for that translucent light lather that you got. while circular scrubbing. All right, cross grain now. Just keep a light touch. I am going fast, but I have done this a lot. I'm letting the razor move over the bumps because I'm holding it in the middle like this. And so if the razor hits a bump, it can move, it can flex. And then it doesn't dig into my skin and give me any kinds of issues. So this is seems to be a good razor for the PolSilver. Probably does an even better job when it's a younger PolSilver, but this is a smooth, comfortable. That's the second pass. So this is my tricky spot. The hair direction kind of goes from here this way. And so I've been, the first two passes, I'm cross graining it from the top this way. The third pass, I will cross grain it, but coming from the bottom instead. And that's my trick to getting that spot for my skin at least. And you may have some spots like that on your face where you have to figure out some strategy to get them closely. All right, well, I wanted this to feel a little creamier with the lather. So first I'm gonna grab some of this lather in here that's just a little too wet. And then I'm gonna take my puck. Oh, first I'm gonna put this on my face. Then I'm gonna go to my puck for just a few seconds. Increase the soap ratio just a hair. And then I'll bet we'll end up in a good place here. Nice massage quality, a light massage quality to this brush. I do feel some hairs that have some scrub to them, but for the most part they are very kind, soft. Many of the tips have split, but definitely some still left to go, and so the brush is going to feel very different when that comes around, especially when those extra grade bristles split. That's going to be a big day for this brush. It's going to change. It'll probably happen gradually, so I may not notice the change, but one day maybe I'll remember how it felt in the beginning. Look back at some documentation for some of the different shaves, and that's why I try to record a little bit about how it feels, so that in the future, someday, I can look back and say, wow, I remember how that felt, and it is very different now. And I'm so glad that I put the time in for this brush to try to help it out. And it was just a little Boar brush that needed to be broken in, like so many others. Boars are just like that. All right. What kind of slickness are we getting here? If I put that on, yeah, see, that's nice and slick. So it's a good soap. It does like to be run a little thicker than I might normally do that. And I've actually found that to be kind of a consistent topic with vegan soaps. They just don't have that edge that some of the tallow soaps do. Tallow ones you can take to a really elastic level where it's just stringing out, you know. But vegan soaps just don't have that attribute in some cases. And a noticeable amount of cases, and so I have to thicken them up just a little bit, which is fine. And this was a terrific lather, very smooth, looks nice. How does it feel? Pull a little bit of it out. See, it's pretty firm. Yesterday's tallow offering was a lot more elastic than that. I'd pull it apart and then those peaks would droop. If it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. So this is a good lather. The slickness sticks in there. It doesn't really feel too airy and dry at all. It does feel like it's hydrated nicely. And it does lay down a thin layer. And this could probably be thickened up, you know, just a little bit. It's got some sheen to it. It lays down a nice thick, thin layer of slickness on the surface of your skin to protect you while you shave. And that's the main goal, the main job of a shaving lather. Oh man, and I love this scent so much, man. And so, final rinse. Turns out I already did a final rinse, so I just did another one. And then I've got my Stirling Tuscany post-shave balm. Cypress scent, either violets or orchids. I think it's violets. And some spices. And so it somehow manifests to my nose as wild cherry. And so I enjoy it. But it doesn't have any cherry in there. The nose and brain are funny things. I just felt like using a balm today, and it was a quick decision. I didn't really need to. My face wasn't roughed up or anything like that. This will absorb pretty quickly and smell good doing it. Yeah. Nice close cut today. Very good. So this Game Changer, it's comfortable but still close cutting. It's just a nice balanced razor. If you want something way milder, then the 68 gap might be for you. I had a few blades where the 68 would work well, but there were so few. It was like 3 out of 9. And so with 6 blades not working very well at all, I just passed that base plate on to somebody else, bought the higher base plate, and this one is a nice razor. And it's a stainless steel razor, so we're talking lifetime materials here, multi-lifetime, if you care about it at all in terms of care for it. Then the quality, the fit and finish, very good, and the price is reasonable for a stainless steel razor. And I think that's why they called it a Game Changer, was because it was coming in at about that $60 price, I think is what it was. And most other stainless steel razors are 100, 120, you know, that sort of thing. The Mamba's in the same area. It's a smoother one than the 84. I'm a big fan of that one too. That's been around for a little longer. I think with the Game Changer, they wanted to bring something to the table that was competing more in the middle of the road market, where there's a nice efficiency there, where the Mamba was a clear favorite among many people for a mild and smooth shave. So they introduced the Game Changer to have just a little bit more efficiency. And then they brought out the Mamba 70. 53 was the original Mamba. The Mamba 70 gap to step up even from that smooth, mild Mamba, come up a little bit. I think the Mamba 70 is still a little smoother than this Game Changer. Now you should not, with the gaps there, you shouldn't compare the Mamba 70, the 70, with the 84 of the Game Changer. They are different shaped heads. And so the gap, if the head shapes are different, the gap is irrelevant. I've got a timeless 38 bronze, which has a different shaped head than my timeless 68 stainless. And the higher gap 68 is smoother than the 38 bronze. And so gap is not the only measurement. If I'm comparing the stainless versus stainless in terms of the timeless, then the 68 versus the 95, the gap is valuable information and relevant. The 95 will be more efficient, less smooth than the 68. But when you move across different models or manufacturers, then you throw the gap you can't compare the gap between two razors. You have to actually get online and find out, okay, well, this is a gap that's that's being very mild on this razor, and here's this other gap that's mild on this one. So at least now we know they're both mild, and you can go from there. But don't try to, that's a common mistake to say, well, I think the 6.63 gap is really where I like my razor. So I'm going to see who has a razor that has something close to a 0.63, and it's not going to work. Almost certainly, unless you just, it's like a crapshoot. If you happen to stumble upon one out of the blue that matches you, because see the gap, this is the blade, top cap, safety bar. So the gap is just the distance between the blade and the safety bar. And so if the top cap extends way over, you can see the gap may not change, but because the blade is recessed inside the top cap and the base plate, it's not going to cut very much. Same gap, but I move the top cap back, and now we've got a lot more exposure for the blade, and so that gap with the other factors is now going to be a more efficient cutter. And so that position of that top cap and also how far the base plate, the safety bar extends out as well, those factors are really more what plays into the gap issue. And when you're dealing with the same model, then the top cap and the base plate are in the same place each time. And so when you change the gap, the base plate lowers and raises, basically, in essence. All right, so that's a little explanation about why you can't compare gaps if it's two different model razors. And a little bit about why the other geometrical attributes help determine how smooth a razor is and how rough a razor is. And where your skin, if it's depending on how pliable it is, as you roll the razor across your skin may flex more inside that gap. And someone with tougher skin, their skin may not flex very much at all. And that's just one of the many variables that will cause an exact same blade and razor setup to perform differently on two different people. Yeah, that was a good cut. Just looked at my neck, just see the tips in my trouble spot area. Everywhere else feels terrific. So the another great shave from the Game Changer, and 25th shave with a PolSilver. Some people definitely don't go that far, and it was smooth and wonderful for me tonight. Loving the Stirling Tuscany. I think it's working pretty well as a transition from the number 63, the spicy, warm, spicy type scent that it has. I'm a big fan of both of these scents. So a great shave. I'm gonna put everything up, and there we go. We're all done. Hey, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I sure hope there was something in this video that will help you out. You take care. Good night.